Sure haven't met many girls like you.
No, you haven't met any girls like me. Look up.
Stars.
See that one?
First one I laid my eyes on.
And the light that's leaving that star right now will take 1 billion years to get down here. You wanna know why you've never met a girl like me before?
Yeah, why?
Because I'll still be here when the light from that star gets down here to Earth. It's in 1 billion years.
That sounds like fun.
It is.
I'd like to be there too.
Maybe.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Death.
And this week marks a momentous occasion for Spooky Tuesday. In the past, you might have heard us go on to other people's podcasts, but never before have we had another podcast onto our podcast. And so we decided to start with the best of the best. Today we're joined with homies of horror. Would y'all like to introduce yourselves?
Wow. Yeah. Hi, I'm Erika.
I'm Roshane.
We're homies of horror.
Beautiful. Incredible.
We've been fans of y'all for hella long, and so it's really exciting to meet you guys and see your faces, though not in person.
But I mean, step up from Instagram mutuals. Yeah, it's a big
True.
development.
Very true. Well, thank you for having us too.
Yeah, we're working our way up. Baby
Mhm,
steps.
mhm.
Totally. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on the pod. This is our last episode of our romance-themed month. We've been all over the place this month. We've done Crimson Peak. We did Bones and All. Now we did Casper last week.
Everybody's first romance. Okay.
That is a romance
stand by
movie,
that.
okay?
I stand by it.
It is. And now we're doing a movie that I think I was the first person in our Spooky Tuesday group to have seen. It is a 1987 movie, and it is Near Dark. And I'll just start with the little IMDb logline to get that out of the way. This is what it says. A small town farmer's son reluctantly joins a traveling group of vampires after he is bitten by a beautiful drifter.
Okay, yeah.
That works.
She is a beautiful drifter.
Brings it together nicely. Tells you what you need to know.
Doesn't give
yeah,
away too much.
Yeah.
Oh no. And it says the word vampire, but they never say the word vampire
That's true.
in this movie.
That's so true.
I love that. And there's no pointy teeth or anything like that. It's just like, you get it.
They don't do a weird little name for it like they love to do in zombie movies either. They're just like, it's
Yeah.
fine. Like, you get the idea. We're talking around it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Also, they have heartbeats, ? So they're dead, but they're
It's a good point.
Yeah.
kind of not.
They're alive, but they're dead.
The
Yeah.
undead, I
Yeah.
believe, is the technical term. But yeah, I mean, like Monica said, she's the only one of the three of us who'd already seen it, and we kind of collabed with you guys to choose this movie. Had you guys seen it before?
No. First time for me.
No. Same.
Oh my god, so many newbies.
We're really digging deep into the cult classics. I had to subscribe to like AMC Plus to watch this movie because I couldn't find it anywhere. I was like, okay,
We
I'm doing
make
a
you work for it.
7-day trial.
Oh, you know who has this one though? Shudder. I found this one on Shudder
Ooh.
actually.
Ah, it
Yeah,
didn't
it's on
pop
Shudder.
up on mine. Wow, Roku lawsuit.
Messed up.
Ew.
Wrong. Badly wrong. But yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that y'all have seen it now because I was really blown away by this when I saw it a few months ago. But I was just talking to everyone before we started. I have a collection of like 10 cowboy hats, so it kind of makes sense that I would love a cowboy western vampire movie. It's kind of ticking all of my boxes. Also set in the late 80s, which always brings some gruesome, beautiful shit here. But
I do
like
love
you're
the
saying,
80s.
Oh my god. Yeah, Sydney's is
That's like Sydney's
Sydney's
brand.
the 80s girly.
Yeah, no, same. 80s is like my
Erica.
favorite horror. Yeah,
Yes,
decade.
80s horror is superior, hands down, no questions.
They were doing some freak shit in that era and it was beautiful. The practical effects, the makeup, really nice.
The
But
outfits.
I think
the
the outfits. Well, that's part of what I was just going to say. The reason that these vampires are so different is because we're so used to, with vampires, this like kind of like European, aristocratic man in a castle and blah, blah, blah with the slick black hair and the cloaks and blah, 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 blah. And this is a totally different type of vamp. They're not called vamps. They don't have pointy teeth. They are living in an RV traveling through middle America. Like, it's the American vampire. I really like that concept.
Although, interestingly, obviously this movie came out the same year as The Lost Boys, and so there's
Yeah.
like definitely some overlap in their style. But nomadic versus like setting up a home base, you know, it's a different vibe.
And
Totally.
also so colorful and so blue. Like, this movie is so dark and blue.
Very
And-
Twilight.
This movie and Twilight have so many things that just like
In common.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, reading all that, I was like, I like this movie a little more.
Needed
Oh.
one shirtless werewolf and you would have been good. Would have been set.
Exactly. That's all that I
We
needed.
need, yeah.
We just needed a werewolf in the mix. But yeah, it's like gender swap Twilight,
I like
which I love. I love, but Western, which I love, and no sparkling, which I love.
I like
I
the
do love
sparkling.
this-
Minus
also
points for
like
no
the
sparkling.
I liked all the pyrotechnics though.
That's a really
There's-
firm shake of the head from Roshane.
Good on the sparkles, thanks.
Okay. All right.
This is the skin of the killer. Come on. It's incredible.
We all have our own different tastes. That's okay.
It's totally valid and completely fair.
Some of us can be wrong. It's fine.
But it's funny because I didn't realize this came out the same year as The Lost Boys, like literally like a couple months after, which is pretty that's like a dense time for vampire,
Yeah.
incredible vampire 80s lore. But these are so different to the portrayals of vampires because I feel like usually there's like this allure to being a vampire where you like want to be a vampire. I don't really I didn't feel that from this. I feel like they're all having kind of a hard time.
It looks shitty. Like, it looks really, really bad. I'm like, this is not a gang that I want to be hanging out with at
No,
all.
I mean, everybody's hot in their own regard, which I appreciate. Minus the child, but
Homer?
to clarify,
Yeah.
Homer.
Important disclaimer. He's an adult man.
but-
He's just in a child's body.
In a small
you know?
body.
That's tough too.
Oh, yeah. And he's got a lot of issues with that, which fair, very fair. They feel like they kind of dive into that more than they do with like Kristen Dunst's baby vampire
Oh, yeah.
in Interview with the Vampire. He is pent up and he's pissed off. But like, I thought at first, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. They got this RV and they're going around in the RV and I love RVing. It's fun. We're doing the whole van life thing with vampires. There's some sort of pun that could be made here, like
Vamp life.
Vampire.
vam life. I don't know. But it's really bad either way, and I'm sorry. I honestly was thinking about it for like 10 minutes, trying to find a way to make it a cool pun. No, there's no way to do it.
If
But then
anybody
they
could have
fucking
done it, it would
blow
have been you.
up.
Yeah, I was
Thank
like,
you
they
so
ditch
much.
it pretty quick. Like,
Yeah, I was
Which
like,
sucks.
yeah, it does. I thought we were gonna have more time on this like adventure in the van. but-
True. I thought it was gonna be way more like driving and road trip. I was
Yeah.
very surprised.
Yeah, they
I was
just
super
go from
confused.
Kansas to Oklahoma or Oklahoma to Kansas.
One or the
Texas.
other and back again.
Wait, did they go to
yeah.
Texas?
Are they
Did they go
ever
to
in
Texas?
Texas?
The dad was in Waco at
The
one
dad
point.
was in Texas, so
with
I think he went
Sarah.
the wrong way.
Oh.
And May is from Sweetwater, Texas.
That's
Right.
important.
I just remember that because I just rewatched the beginning 5 minutes ago. But yeah, I was really confused why they blew up the RV. I was like, that was a stupid decision. Are they just angry? And then I was like, oh no, it's because they saw the RV pick up Caleb, and so it would be on the police's radar. And I was like, rats.
Gotta cover your
Caleb-
tracks.
Why you
It's
gotta
the
ruin a good
80s. Would it
thing?
actually be on the police's radar? I don't
I feel
think
like they could have
so.
gotten away with it. I mean, we just talked about a bunch of overlapping themes probably on our Bones and All episode. Because I mean, this movie does a lot of the same questions about like, can you really kill for survival? Like, do you have what it takes? And like, what are your workarounds if you're not willing to do that? And also, were you just saying a second ago that started me on that? Do you think?
Stolen cars and
Yeah,
police.
on our
Yeah,
we were
and
like,
police.
it's the 80s. This is a perfect time to be a traveling cannibal because, like, you know, they're not really tracking things the way that they can in today's day and age. You wouldn't be able to get away with it the same way. I just feel like they didn't even try to keep the RV.
They should
didn't
have
even
gotten a
want
bunch
to.
of spray
Yeah.
paint and spray painted it a different color, and literally nobody would have known.
That's true.
Oh, they should have pimped their RV. What a wasted
Oh my
opportunity.
Damn.
Exhibit,
like,
where
That
you
would've
at?
been
Did
dope.
they ever do an RV on Pimp My Ride?
No. They
That is a
didn't.
big missed
RV already inherently
opportunity.
pimped.
Oh my God. Exhibit, come back and just do van life Pimp My Ride. This is a request.
There's definitely a market for that.
100%.
There's no way that show wouldn't take off.
I would love a juice bar in the back of my RV.
A jacuzzi tub sounds like
Mhm.
a great option. Maybe a fish tank.
In your van? Oh my God.
Sometimes you got to do it. You got to do
I've
it.
seen the people on TikTok. They're already pressed for space.
But okay, it is romance month after all, and there is a romance at the center of this movie. So we have Caleb. We meet him right away. He's dashingly handsome. And now that I'm looking at IMDb, he's definitely a man that I've seen on a cop show or something.
He was on Heroes.
Adrian
and he is
Pazdar.
enemy because he cheated on Natalie Maines from the Chicks. That's what the whole album is
That's
about.
the guy.
That's the guy.
That's
He was in the Goodbye Earl music video as a cop, actually, I think is what you're thinking of.
Stop.
That back when they
Wow.
were still together.
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
Wow,
No.
That is
changes
ruining this
entire
movie for me. Oh
I'm so sorry.
my
I did go in
God.
knowing
This
that's
changes
enemy,
everything.
but like it colored my experience for sure.
They left the tights on her boat. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I am so upset. We're big Dixie Chicks fans here. Oh, excuse me, the
The
Chicks
Chicks.
fans here. I'm so sorry. And I am upset. Well, okay. I'm gonna
Well,
try to
he was good in
compartmentalize
Heroes,
and move
maybe.
past this.
He
I'm
was
gonna
good
try
in
to
the
com-
Goodbye Earl music video. He's a good actor. He's a handsome man, and he is not playing himself. He's playing Caleb. So I think we'll power
I'm gonna
through.
compartmentalize it. I'll move
Yeah.
past. I'll move
Yeah.
past. I
But-
didn't think he was that good in this.
I was about to say, I just don't like Caleb. I did not like him.
Me either. He's also
Oh.
enemy to me.
Thank
very
God.
boring.
Okay, I was about to be really sad if I was the only person that did not like Caleb because I really did not like him.
Well, here's
No.
the thing. They set him fully up to be a little bitch ass bitch by
Yeah.
essentially
won't
kidnapping
even
her
kill
in
someone.
his truck. He really
Yeah.
off the bat is like, no, I'm not going to listen to you. You keep trying to get away from me. I'll literally chase you down the road. There was a moment where I was like, maybe it's romantic and she likes him. But mostly she was like, please take me home. And he was like, I'm going to stop this car until you kiss me.
for a kiss.
Red flags.
Yes.
So many red flags.
Ugh.
Red flags. He like comes up to her and he's like, "Hey, do you have a boyfriend?" Like immediately.
Yeah. And yeah, even the way he approaches her and he's like, I'd love a bite when she's eating her ice cream. It's like, can you
So bold.
give me some space? Like, who are you? Why did you just slink out of the shadows and ask for a bite of my ice? Immediately, I was like, this guy is giving me the ickiest vibes.
It's
And then it just got worse.
disrespectful. But why is she eating an ice cream cone? That still bothers me. I don't get it.
I know. I was just thinking that when I rewatched it because I was like, he eats that candy bar later and he
He
vomits
almost
everywhere.
dies, yeah.
She's also 4 years older than him, vampire
true,
years.
also.
So maybe her tummy has adjusted.
She's gained skills.
Do vampires
they-
eventually get to eat ice cream? Because that's kind of bomb. I would like that to be
held it
canon.
in
hope
her
so.
mouth and it melted, and then she just like let it leak out.
Spit it out.
the
Because
side
she
of
only
her
takes
mouth,
like
and then-
one bite. She takes like the tip of the ice cream.
Just the tip.
Just the tip
And then-
of the ice cream.
Just the
Sorry.
tip. Yeah. And she
Yeah.
never goes back.
We're not mature here,
I
by the
mean-
way. Just so you know.
Gonna hate the joke always.
Sorry. I do think it is a possibility that she was doing that on purpose to lure a man, maybe. I don't know. Even
No,
if
I
it was just
agree.
for a meal, but then she was like, he's cute and he doesn't respect my boundaries. And she fell in love. I don't know. But that is a really interesting point because I didn't think about that until I was like, he did puke up that candy bar.
I think that if she can eat ice cream after 4 years, then it makes this type of vampire feel more alluring to me. Because my main reason I wouldn't become a vampire, it's not like the murder and stuff. It's the fact that you don't get to eat yummy food anymore. Because I feel like if you're gonna live forever, like the whole point of that would be to eat like every type of cuisine in the entire universe. So really hopeful for this type of vampire. The American vampire, you still get to eat food only after 4 years.
Maybe it is like Twilight and they can eat food, but eventually it'll just sit in their stomach and then they'll puke it up. And Adrian Pasdar is just new and doesn't know how things work. And so immediately it doesn't taste the same. And he's like, yeah, there's something wrong with this candy bar. Instead of being like, my body rejects this candy bar.
It's all him being a noob.
Throwing out ideas. Yeah, he's just dumb. Which I'm willing to get on board with as a theory.
I think, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's certainly dumb. He is like, you know, not to be mean to cowboys, but there is a stereotype of like the simple, beautiful cowboy man that I've seen in other films, and he is that simple, beautiful cowboy man. And he's not even that beautiful now that I know what I know about him as an actor. Anyway,
kind of
he's
beautiful,
ugly on
covered
the
in muck and
inside.
dirt with the eyeliner. He is a little beautiful.
but he's so sweaty throughout this, and he's
Yeah.
so like a barfy throughout this. But he does look good when he's not barfy.
Yeah, his character goes through like the most aesthetically wise in this movie. He's burnt to a crisp for 70% of it, sweaty. Sometimes it looks like his skin is falling off, unless that was just me. Like sometimes it looked like his skin was falling off, but then it would
I think
heal.
that happens when you get
next
burned.
scene.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, him
away.
and Severin, by the way, never picked
By
that name
the
up
way,
throughout the
great
film.
name.
By
Also-
Bill Paxton, who
Better than
is
Severin.
so funny in this. Severin, J.K. Rowling, where did she get Severus from? No, I'm kidding. She got it. It's like a snake thing, but whatever. But yeah, he I think also goes through a lot of transformations because he gets roasty toasty as well. I love the roasty toasty of it all in this. Everybody is like a little marshmallow and they get over toasted throughout the film. I love that.
We love a good marshmallow vampire.
I'm always saying there should be more pyrotechnics in vampire movies, and here we are.
Yeah,
That's the first time I said
there's
that.
a lot. There's some like really extreme ones too. The one where he goes into the car, like you can tell that that's a stunt person, but the fact that a fully inflamed person is entering a car, I was clutching my clothes watching the movie. I was like, please don't blow up. Please don't blow up. I don't know who this is, but I hope they get out of here safe.
Yeah, that stunt person, God, give him a bonus. That was insane.
There was lots of really good flames moments in this movie, but there's also one, and I forget which plane it was, but probably near the end where it was like exploding on the power lines, and so you got like the sparks and stuff lighting up the screen too. I thought that was very cool.
I almost thought that was real. Like, I wonder if that was an effect or if it just happened. They were like, all right, let's just get this.
Let's use this.
Let's
There
just
was
get this
something
and
on
not tell the
IMDb.
city.
There's something on IMDb trivia that said, and I didn't understand it. I felt like there's information missing in this. So if Monica, this appeared in any of your research, please let me know. But it said they were filming in a drought most of the time. But then they made it seem, without saying this, as though there was one day where there was like lots of thunderstorms, and they like scrambled to write a scene where they could like incorporate it, so they could use like the water shining off the street to like really make things beautiful and like capture some of these incredible shots that they got. So I don't know. I'm willing to say maybe it was real electricity.
Actually, the articles I read were like really like philosophical. So when they didn't go, they went into like themes, a lot of themes, and I was like, oh my God, this movie is much heavier than my little self anticipated. But I mean, to take it back to its basics again, I will say we think that Caleb is weird and he's annoying, but I did like the little look at the star. I will be here in a billion years when the light from that star reaches me scene. I thought that was cool. I don't know.
That was the moment where I was like, maybe it is romantic a little bit.
It was a little bit romantic, but it was also wrong.
Yeah, it was weird, but it kind of reminded me of like A Walk to Remember, where they like go and look up at the sky. That was the only romantic bit I felt like.
Oh,
me.
really?
And at least for them.
Problematic, but I thought it was really romantic when he finally makes his way back to her after trying to like leave and go back to his family, and he's like dying after his horrifying candy bar experience, and she's like, here, drink my blood, and then he drinks her blood and then hears her heartbeat or something, I don't know, and then I don't know, I was like, whew, something's happening here. Wow, I thought that part was a little steamy, but then they did the second time and I was like, oh, now it's sad and bad. And so you've ruined it because it's like, oh, he's going to kill her if he keeps doing that.
And he looked so gleeful about
he doesn't
it.
Was he smiling? Yeah, I didn't get that shit.
I feel like the euphoric rush of having blood after being literally starving is probably just what was going on in that moment. It's like he got high all of a sudden and he's just like not at his normal ability to engage politely, but that's already a low bar for him. I just I feel the passion of that moment, but yeah, I mean, I don't trust him, and I mean, something in IMDb also called him like a deliberately like not a hero, basically. Like they're very much not trying to cast him in a traditional hero role. That said, does the movie accomplish that by the end? I'm not so sure.
He's complicated for sure because he's like he's kind of like roped into being, well, one, he's creepy. First, he's creepy. Then he's roped into being a vampire and he doesn't want to kill people. But then he's like, okay, honestly, take this with a grain of salt. Then he's like, well, okay, but I will help all these vampires who are massacring 15 cops right now. So, I mean, hey, okay, that could go either way.
Well, he does that because he's like, well, if I don't help them, they're just going to kill me because I got them into this mess.
Right.
So...
True. Yeah, he's a complicated character for sure. I mean, and then they're like,
a good
oh,
morally
redemption.
Gray character, you know?
I just think he's kind of a bitch a little bit. Like, if you're gonna be a vampire who refuses to do killing, okay, but the solution is not to just outsource all of your killing to your girlfriend and then almost kill her every time that you're hungry. Like, that doesn't really seem like you're accomplishing your task of eliminating harm that you're doing. You're just not doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Classic man.
True.
Thank you for your support. What an ally.
Thank you. Ally.
And he's still drinking that truck driver's blood just through the transitive property. Like,
yeah, he still died. So couldn't he have just, I mean, if he wants it to be that way, he should just have her kill the people and then he can just drink. They can like drink together from the people.
Yeah.
Like it could be like a little thing, like a spaghetti thing, but with blood.
yeah.
You know,
date
like,
night.
Lady
we've
in
got
the
same
Tramp.
noodle. Yeah.
But it's the
Or
guy's
next.
intestine. Cute.
There's
No,
that
that's
whole
cannibal.
bar
Sorry.
scene where they like slit the waitress's throat and let her bleed into the cup so that they can sip it out of that beer stein. You know what I mean? Like there are other ways to do it. He just doesn't want to put any labor into this at all. How dare he?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and he's a little, it's like I kind of like it, but then at the end of it, I didn't know how I felt about the wishy-washy nature of how he feels about being a vampire. But like, I know that probably is a very confusing thing that's happening.
Yeah.
And would like have ebbs and flows, which I did appreciate because I like seeing that kind of a dilemma. But it was just weird how his family was in danger and he was still like, nah, I ride with them now. And then changed his mind immediately and was like, actually, wait, I want to come home. I don't know. It all happened really fast. Yeah, it just happened a little fast for me.
I think that they're in a polycule, and that can explain a lot. You know what I mean? There's a lot of complicated romantic feelings to explore for him there, with Severin in particular, if you ask me. But
I agree.
Well, I also think at that point he like didn't know that he could go back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because how does he go back when he has these urges, to suck blood? Because he still has the hunger, obviously. Like, that's why he does that shit-eating grin after he almost kills his girlfriend. Because, like, the thirst has, like, overtaken him in that moment, even though he's pretty good at keeping it back. But, like, what if he ever hurt his cutie-ass little sister? His little honey.
Sarah.
It's very sweet that he calls her honey. Sorry, that is sweet. That's one nice thing. I don't know. I feel like he was trying to protect them because he's a drifter now or whatever.
I don't know. The way he was looking at Severin, like the guy gave him one spur and all of a sudden he was sprung. Like he was ready to just ride with them for the rest of the time.
I
think that's a
big
deal. It's a big deal.
Crush behavior.
Is that now? I'm not from the South, but is that a thing? Is like the handing off of a spur? Is that like a meaningful thing, or did they just make it up for this movie? I was genuinely curious about that.
It's got to be a cowboy thing, you know?
Yeah,
Like, you're a man now. Here's my spur, son. Go be free.
If someone gave me their spur, it would change my life. That would I would never take it off also. If Bill Paxton gave me his spur, my God.
Mm-hmm.
Because Severin is a stone cold psychopath, but he's swaggy as hell. Oh my God. His outfits are incredible. And well, he's an asshole, but he's really good at being an asshole, like in a really funny, twisted way. So you got to respect that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit, the handing off of a weapon is already like symbolic. You're part of our club now. To take off a piece of your outfit to give to someone is like a personal sacrifice. And like, this is part of clearly that's like his identity. You know what I mean? To a degree, he's really I'm no historian or anything like that, but I watched Stranger Things, so I know to be a metalhead in the 80s was to be counterculture. And so like I feel like he's really adopted this persona that, if he's been around since the Great Chicago Fire of 1871 or whatever, that's a modern look that he has made the choice to engage with. That's what I thought they were hinting about, and somebody on IMDb also thought it, so I think confirmed.
Which is wild.
These cowboys, they blamed it on a cow and they just pieced it out of there. Really not fair to that cow.
That's the fire. Oh my God, I remember learning about that in school. I was like, I feel like I should get this reference, but I don't. Thank you.
You're there.
Thank God for y'all.
But yeah, I mean, that's part of his style, but also like spurs go on your boots. You have two of them. They're part of a matching set now. I feel like there's just something there for them. But I don't know. I think, again, it's like he didn't know if he would be a danger to his family. He didn't know if he could survive without this crew. I personally think maybe his dad would do murders for him if that was what it came to, but thankfully it didn't come to that.
I mean, where'd he get all that blood?
Yeah, but it was only once his family was like explicitly in danger, and it was like, well, we're not going to let them leave, like no matter what, that he was like, okay, I'll dip.
That's fair. That's fair.
Can we talk about the other people in this movie, because they're all like really
I love Diamondback.
Diamondback.
Oh my God, Diamondback.
I love Diamondback and Jesse. There's a lot of ships here for me.
Diamondback, played by Jeanette Goldstein, stone cold fox, cool hair, amazing vibes, just incredible all around. I was in love with her immediately. Also, I mean, they're all gonna have weird age gap relationships because, like,
they're old.
Jesse's
Age isn't real to them.
yeah,
Sure.
exactly. But loved her with Jesse, played by Lance Henriksen. What else is he in? That man, I know.
Aliens.
He's an
That's
alien.
it. Okay, they were like freaking.
They're all in
Aliens.
Aliens.
Yeah.
They're all
Yeah.
in Aliens. I love that. I
Well,
can't
the
wait to do
director is
Aliens.
Catherine Bigelow.
Yes.
And she was dating James Cameron at the time, and they had just filmed Aliens, and he said, would you like my cast? And she went, great.
Of
Well,
course I
that's
would.
good.
And she took it.
The
And then they had that
chemistry is
scene where there's
there.
a movie theater in the background and it's showing aliens.
And then years later, she took the Oscar away from him in 2010.
Good.
Yeah, well, they also got divorced, so good for her.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a divorce movie
Oh.
to me, I guess.
Well, I mean, there's 2 divorces going on with the actors or collaborators.
Probably other people got divorced, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I
everybody's
don't know
personal
who knows what
history.
Jenny Wright has been up to. She could have been divorced. Any of them could have. But yeah, I loved the way that they did Jesse's like scarring on his face and all of that. Like he was just such a cool, calm, collected ringleader for them too. Like you can tell. I don't know. Again, back to how they don't make being a vampire seem that sick in this one. I feel like Homer obviously super upset that he is in his current situation. I feel like Jesse seems kind of tired, he doesn't seem super jazzed about it either. Diamondback can go either way, but Severin is the only one who's like, yeah, this is my shit. I live for this shit. But he was
Severin
probably a
is
sadist
living his life.
before. Mhm.
True. I'd argue Diamondback a little bit too, because I feel like she's having a lot of fun when she's out there.
Yeah. She's a little
When they
sadistic.
got they pulled over for the hitchhiker, and then the hitchhikers were like, gotcha, and then the vampires were like, actually, gotcha. I felt like she was having a really fun time. She was really enjoying herself in that car ride, waiting for them to reveal as the gun is going all around her body. She's the anticipation.
She's
I think,
like, joke's on
for
you,
her.
bitch.
She was swimming in it. Yeah.
So that butterfly knife is like her teddy bear too. Like she has that every scene. I kind of loved it.
I wish I could twirl knives without accidentally stabbing myself.
I have a knife like that, and I just keep it closed and in my side drawer. I will never try to do a trick. I will lose all my digits.
I almost cut my finger off every time I decide I'm going to actually cook something. So it's not great.
We all have
What are you gonna do?
But here's the thing. Diamondback with her knife, I was just like, oh.
She's
Especially
very gorgeous.
in the bar scene when
bar scene.
Jesse is more aggressively hitting on the waitress, and she is like, don't you dare look at my man, slits throat. Love her.
The way they took down everybody in that bar.
Easy peasy.
Wait,
Everyone was
everybody
just
in that bar froze
Yeah.
immediately?
It had zero survival instinct. I'm gonna call it.
No,
Every
seriously.
single one of them, they just stood there and waited to die. Okay, guys.
Except for the last guy.
True.
The way he did
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he waited until the absolute end to try and do something. Until he actually saw the pearly gates, he wasn't moving an inch.
Yeah.
He was
yeah.
literally in the embrace of a vampire, and then he was like, okay, she is really hot, but maybe I should do some self-preservation shit right now. That could be cool.
Right. It felt like that they were like, maybe if I don't move, they won't know
won't
that I'm
see me.
here. Yeah.
Also, why
Oh
did
my
why did the bartender pick the least threatening person to shoot?
Yeah.
Seems like wasted
Felt
bullets.
easiest, maybe.
Well, technically, Homer would have been the least threatening because
That's
they
fair. You know,
didn't
you're right.
know
That's
that
so
he
true.
wasn't a 12-year-old ordering tequila, and they were like, "Yeah, sure."
I loved also when Diamondback slit the waitress's throat, the way that it cut away from that, and you saw Homer, and he's just vibing for a moment.
Yeah.
He's just dancing.
He
He's
was
so fucked
having a
up.
blast.
Like, all his little things are so funny. Like he turned May posing as a 5th grader needing homework help, and that's when he turned her because he wanted her to be his forever girlfriend.
Which is so
So
funny.
he was shooting for the stars there. And then the fact that he has his little baby boy bike, and that's how he lures people to their death by just being like, "Oh no, I fell down." It's genius.
Yeah.
It is genius.
But
That's
also,
smart.
Sarah is a child, and Homer consistently is like, I'm an adult in a kid's body, and then immediately falls for an 8-year-old child.
Yeah, I hated the implications of all of that. It made me so uncomfortable.
Nasty.
Yeah. I wonder if his strategy was if I'm in a child's body and I turn a child, eventually the person inside of that child's body will also be an adult, and I'll just hang out for a while.
And that way it won't be
But
weird
I don't
if
like that
two
either.
kids are dating or like, you know, with each
It's
other.
just
you
like
know?
Jacob and Renesmee, you know?
Another
Ugh.
Twilight. It all goes back to Twilight.
It always goes back to Twilight. It's literally a vampire movie.
Well,
I mean, it was unavoidable this episode.
Oh, he's just being like, oh, I'm a kid. I'm an adult trapped in a kid's body, so I'm gonna get another kid so they will eventually feel as shitty as I do, and then I'll have someone to talk to about
Yeah,
how I feel.
At least someone will get it. I love to damn people to my same eternal fucked up situation.
All of it makes sense, absolutely. It's just it got worse the longer I thought about
Yeah,
it. And I'm
right.
like, I don't like this.
Yeah, you can't think about it too long. I guess it's like the idea is that since he was changed as a child, he probably still has like that childlike. I guess it's the same way that like Edward isn't 17, but he wants to date a 17-year-old or 18-year-old or whatever, how old he's supposed to be. Another back to Twilight, bringing it back to Twilight.
Back to Twilight.
But,
We talk about Twilight a lot on this pod.
I did want to do New Moon for Romance Month, so this is fine. This is perfect for me.
Oh my gosh, I hate Jacob though, so that would
He's the worst. But
that would have been
Team
rough.
Edward.
I was Team Jacob. I'm so sorry. But we don't have to go there right now. We
I
can talk
told
later. We
Monica.
can duke it out on our own later on. Yeah, okay, let's just talk about the bar scene for a second because I think it was like a beautiful masterpiece of horror. You know, I just had so much fun. I just like from start to finish, like their silhouettes with like the moon behind them as they're coming down the hill, and you can like still see them with the bar in the foreground. Like there are some really gorgeous shots in this movie, like of the pastoral middle of the country. I don't know, Wild Wild West, whatever. I don't know. But yeah, like that shot really stood out to me, and I love how much of a dick Bill Paxton is. God, he's just so funny. He just toys with all of them like they're flies. The way that he fucks with that guy at the bar, he sticks his chin in his beer. If someone did that to me, I would flip out. But then would die just like that guy did.
Yeah, I mean, he truly is taking it there every moment, and you almost think they're on the same page for a second, and then he's like, okay, now pay for that drink I ordered on your behalf after I spilled your first drink. And I just think he's having a fun time with it, though, and I like him. I'm rooting for Severin. I'm sad he was the first to go later on.
I can't believe the bar scene was 11 minutes.
Was it?
Yeah.
That doesn't shock me, though.
I loved every minute of it. I loved it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it is a great scene. It is.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite parts, I think.
Yeah, definitely
same.
my. Yeah, and
I mean, I think the strength of this film is the squad, and there are like shockingly few squad scenes.
True.
Yeah. They were like trying to make it be this romance with this icky boy Caleb, and none of us are buying it.
When really the romance is with the group because they're polycule.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Found family trope.
This is where I saw some beautiful homoerotic vibes between Severin and Caleb. There is one point where the guy who we were just talking about who gets his drink destroyed, whatever, he punches the shit out of Caleb because Severin tells him to, essentially. And then he's like bleeding from his mouth, Caleb is, and Severin goes and puts his finger on Caleb's chin and then like gets the blood and licks it, and I was like, that's gay. I love it.
Okay.
I live for that. I love that.
Is he just mad that May found a cuter guy than he could ever find? Is that what the real issue was?
Who, Severin?
I mean,
Severin,
That
yeah.
could be it.
I'm just mad that May found him first.
yeah. I mean, from the moment that Severin was introduced, I was like, "There's something here." I took some notes, sporadic notes. But there was a quote that I wrote down right before my first Severin Caleb note, which was he said, "I'm gonna get my wet dream boy," and then he proceeded to really engage. So you know, I just it was very clear that something was happening between them to me. And I do also think everybody else was like mostly paired, like Jesse and Diamondback couple, May, Caleb couple. Homer desperately wants to be with May. We know what his deal is. Severin, they never really engage with that, which is interesting, which kind of says something on its own for media from the 80s and the way that they like kind of talk around those subjects sometimes without really directly saying anything. Sometimes it's what they don't say that really speaks to it. But then sometimes he says, I'm going to go get my wet dream. And then he goes right after him. And, you know, that's also pretty clear.
Well, I also think that the bar scene makes this all the more real, like the spur moment later on. Because he uses those spur in his super badass move where he slices the throat of the bartender on both sides, and that's fucking sick. And like that's like the coolest thing I've ever seen.
I giggled. I'm so sorry. I thought it was really funny. It wasn't the moment. It was the sound effect for it. It's just like it was really cool and everything, but then the sound effect was just like it was so it was so small.
It was. Well, they make
Those
a little
spurs are very
spin
little.
sound. It's a little spinny dial. But like he's giving up his coolest move with the silliest sound for this man.
True.
Why? Think about it.
Now he's going to use his like left foot too. That's not his dominant foot, I don't think. He said, I'm giving up my advantage for you.
That is one thing though too about vampire movies and just vampires in general is I just feel like because they live forever that it's so easy to make them like gender fluid and they're just like open sexuality and down for everything. But I was surprised by how strictly paired off people were in this movie. I will say I really like Jesse and Diamondback's relationship. I like would love a whole backstory movie just exploring them because it seems like they had some wild adventures. And I feel like in the end it was so interesting when they died together because it seemed like Diamondback was like, hey, we had a hell of a time, but like it is what it is. I don't know. I thought that was really cool. I'd love to see more about them. I mean,
kind of felt non-Louise of them at the end there for sure.
Totally.
Yeah, very true.
Like if you go, I go.
yeah.
But I definitely think their relationship had more of like for all the fact that they were like a side couple, basically, they were more like heartfelt to me in the little moments we got from them than May and Caleb, who I just like never really was vibing with on that level.
Me neither.
There were moments where like I saw what the movie was doing, but I didn't like feel it for them the way that I felt it for Jesse and Diamondback. And I think that's kind of also just like they don't know each other at all. You know what I mean? There's no shared history. They know nothing about each other's personalities. We know he's a little bold. We know that she's not like other girls. That's kind of all we had for them.
You've never met a girl like me. I was like, I'm gonna let that slide because you are a vampire, but relax.
She's giving like, yes, I am a manic pixie dream girl. Like, yes. And I am fully leaning in. Look at the haircut. I mean, she rocks it.
It's true. Was I the only one that thought that their kisses were really awkward though?
I saw that guy's whole tongue. I saw Caleb's whole tongue.
Yeah,
like,
Caleb
coming
and
out of
May.
his mouth.
In the truck.
Every kiss, his tongue was doing just every direction. Like it took up half the screen. I didn't understand.
They have no chemistry.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think I just liked the romance in this because I felt romantically attracted to May. And so I just inserted myself as cowgirl I am the cowgirl now. That happens a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that she was like, I got her loneliness from her. And so that's why also I feel like at the beginning, whether she was looking for a meal or a man, she was like hunting a little bit, you know what I mean?
Totally.
But I don't know that I feel like she picked Caleb for anything other than like proximity, really. And so to see her like latch on to him was really strange.
I mean, she was really lonely. Because she's in that group, but she's the youngest in that group, even though she doesn't look it because of Homer. But Homer's like 45 or something at least inside of that baby boy body.
And she's like, I'm
he's
not
giving 45.
She's like, I'm not doing shit with Homer. He's a child.
No.
Right.
And clearly nothing was happening with Severin.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
And yeah, they're all like age wise way older than her. So she's like actually like actual age like 18 probably, even with her vampire years. And you know, she was just probably super lonely, and she was like, oh, this guy is very interested and has kind eyes, though a creepy everything else.
Yeah, creepy aura, but kind eyes. And also, too, I feel like you could potentially say that maybe she just got carried away when they were making out and getting hot and heavy, and maybe she didn't actually mean to bite him. And then I was
Sometimes
like,
you just want to bite a neck. It's fun. It's flirty.
Biden, and you forget that you're a vampire. But it worked out for her because of what happened. And then I feel like, I guess he was already into her, so that was great. And then I feel like because he was a vampire, she got excited and she was like, great, we can be together forever, sort of a thing.
Yeah, I think that she like I think it could have definitely been an accident, and then I think she probably felt guilty because she'd put him in that same situation that she's in now, and so she took care of him so much, and then he's in this super confusing situation. She's pretty, and he already had a little crush on her, and so he's just latches onto her, literally bites onto her wrist and sucks her blood out, even more. And so, yeah, we'll see if the relationship lasts after they turn back into humans.
Right.
Imagine she just leaves the next day. Oh my god.
That'd be so funny.
She was like, thanks, bestie, but bye.
Honestly, I would love that for her. I mean, I do feel like they might be trauma bonded now. Like they might stick it out truly because they just like shared this experience and they can't move away from it. But also, I would love it if she just dipped. I would love that. That's why we didn't get a sequel, maybe, because she's just moving on.
I do know that we didn't get a remake because of Twilight.
Say more.
They were planning on remaking this movie, and
no way.
Like, but then Twilight happened, and Twilight went with kind of like the emo, like vampire.
It was like so identical in so many ways that they were like, whatever.
And they were just like, oh, I don't think we're gonna be able to do that. But they did do a re-release cover DVD of this that does give extreme Twilight vibes.
Oh, wow.
Like Google, hold on, Near Dark.
Oh, you're gonna put it in the Zoom chat?
Put it in the Zoom chat because
I want to see it. Yeah,
I need to see it.
The re-release cover of this
will it pop
is
out?
bonkers.
Ooh.
Oh.
Oh my god. He never looks like that once. He never. None of them
never
get pale.
looks like that one.
No, she never.
She's
She
literally
doesn't have brown hair. Why is she a brunette now? What is happening? But this is insane to me. This we'll do a tag to this cover for this re-release of Near Dark in the references so y'all can see it. But this is hilarious. But my answer to the question of should Near Dark be re-release or do a remake, now I'm usually anti-remake, but it has been 10 years since I've gotten a Twilight movie at this point, and so I'm ready. And I feel like they could do a take where Caleb isn't such a like wet blanket barfy boy, and it could be really, really great because I'm ready for more cowboys here in the year of our Lord 2023. So cowboy vampires, excuse me, I have to be very specific.
I would be down for a remake for this movie.
Yeah, same.
But also, like Erika said, if we got like a new Diamondback and Jesse movie, I'm also curious about that.
Well, maybe if the remake does really well, then we can get the spin-off.
Then we get the spin-off stories. Yeah.
I think I don't know if it was ever going to happen because their production company that made this was like going bankrupt. So the movie, you know, was doomed from the start. But there was talks about doing like a prequel sequel, and it would have been like Jesse and Diamondback and how like the gang all formed. And I was like, I want to see that.
I would love to see
that. Would have been so cool.
I want to see that. Dang. I want to see that more than this movie. Like that
makes me
that
sad.
I want to see.
I wish I didn't know that trivia because it makes me sad that we don't have that.
Yeah, that was a big part of the film, though, is that like this was the last movie that the production company released before it went under, and so like it had like no money to put behind marketing or anything like that. And then I think with The Lost Boys coming out right beforehand, this movie kind of flew under the radar for a while before it became a cult classic. I do think cowboy vampire western it's got a draw there for sure. It just needed to find its audience a little bit.
It's hard to go up
but-
against Lost Boys because Lost Boys has that shirtless guy with the saxophone. And
Everybody
this movie
loves
does
him.
not
Important.
have that. And
No
so,
saxophone.
But you know
Not
what this
even
movie
one.
You know what this movie and The Lost Boys have in common besides being, fringe vampires?
what?
Homer and Michael, I think his name's Michael from The Lost Boys,
Mhm.
Are
Yeah,
like
yeah,
are
yeah.
half
brothers.
brothers.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Also, what? Or no, you go.
I was gonna say their dad is like the priest or the father in The
From The
Exorcist.
Exorcist.
So they're like,
Really?
they're like
Little horror
a
fam.
little horror
Cute.
fam. I love.
Oh,
I
because
love that.
Roshane, the guy who plays Homer, also helped to write The Final Girls, that movie that we covered.
Really?
What?
Mm-hmm. He's a writer on that movie. And he's
Holy
from
shit.
Teen Witch
Oh
also.
Oh,
shit!
no way.
Oh shit!
I still haven't seen that movie.
It's pretty wild. That's so wild.
I
Wow.
have complicated feelings about it.
It's-
I thought it had a lot of potential, but I wanted to work on some rewrites
Yeah.
maybe.
It's a little it's a little messy, but it's fun.
I'll watch it.
When worlds collide.
Well, I already was thinking horror connections to Homer, but not based in anything that has reality involved. I just think he looks like the little boy in The Visit, the M. Night movie that came out 5
Stop.
years ago. He does. He looks like that boy from The Visit. Just saying.
Ed Oxenbold,
the
Blood,
one who
of the
raps all
two.
the time, and he's also in
Love
Better
a little rap.
Watch out. Another underrated horror film. There's something happening. Boys who look like that create underrated horror films.
Horror
Anyway.
Something about that haircut just dooms the film.
Yeah. So bad. It is a little bad. I do think that it kind of pisses me off the serendipity of them being at the same motel as the dad and the sister. And the sister just happens to be out getting a Coca-Cola
At 5 in the
product
morning.
placement at 5 in the morning.
She does what she wants when she wants, you guys.
I do love that. I love that they're like, she's a young feminist, okay? Like she gets 5 lines and they're all her being like, I'm that bitch. Don't cross
Yeah.
me.
But it's
Yeah.
so different from how she was earlier in the movie. I feel like
Yeah.
earlier she's a little bit more just kind of like meek and along for the
Crying.
ride. And then all of a sudden she's like, fuck off, vampires, and like busting out of windows and stuff. And I'm like, I love the duality, but it did take me by surprise.
Also,
Sure. I think there's a lot of off-screen character development
Yeah.
there for them. You know,
Definitely.
like we saw them go to the cops and be like, you're not taking the disappearance of our family members seriously. I guess we're going to have to do it ourselves. But then we just got like a little B-roll of them being investigators. But by the time they meet back up, you know, they're like, they've been on the streets. They've been like searching alleyways and stuff. I
They're
think
hardened
they've had a whole-
detectives.
We
Yeah.
missed that,
they
like-
had a whole like grim, dark coming of age development. I
Unfortunately,
think
to keep this movie as close to a tight 90 as possible, they had to cut out the 11-minute Rocky style montage of her becoming a hardened feminist in 1987.
Mhm.
Bad. I think it would have enriched the film. But
her transformation into Veronica Mars.
I think she's a little cutie patootie, but there is a point where Homer is like holding her hostage and she looks like she's having a good time. And I'm like, okay. I was
doesn't know what's
distracted
going
at first
on.
by Homer like really acting his little ass off. But then I looked at her and I was like, she kind of looks not upset. And so interesting. But you know, she's just a child
Consider
actor.
that she's so thrilled to discover that her brother is there. You know, they thought he was lost to them. Nothing could bring her down in that moment.
It's an interesting confrontation scene. But I feel the same way about the ending scene as well, where there is just a lot of like, you take them, no, you take them, and like pushing people around and like running into people's arms and
people's as props.
Yeah. Yeah. It works better for me in this motel just because they're in like an enclosed space.
Yeah.
But I do like, as ridiculous as it is, I do love this whole like the family's back together and then moving that into the last bit. Like I do like that he becomes human again before the end. I did not see that coming at all.
Totally. And I fell
Super
asleep
interesting
during
twist on
that
the
part when
lore.
I watched it the first time. So it was eye-opening for me this time around.
Confusing at the end, I bet.
I got the gist.
Yeah, it took a lot of me to accept the whole transfusion plot line. I was like, we gotta do this somehow, so okay, fine. But I was like, if only all the other vampires had figured this one out, God, would have solved the
Some of them
problem.
like to be vampires, I think. Some of them want to be what they are.
Yeah,
That's true.
fair.
Not all
I
of them
love
had
that-
a vet on handy to figure it out, you know?
I think Homer
Oh.
would like to be made human and like give him 10 years and then get him back in the system. A little nip at that point, you know what I mean, could solve really every issue he's ever had.
Oh my God, imagine temporary vampire. That'd be so much fun.
He just like pauses for 10 years so that his body can grow.
I would fuck with
And then
that.
he's right back in, baby.
I only want to be a temporary vampire if you get the cool powers, though, because a lot of like I always say that like
she has strength.
well, yeah, okay, you get the strength that they've got that, but like
When he,
I
when
oh
he lassos her, first of all, sorry to go back to the beginning. How dare he?
Yeah.
thought
He
it was-
lassoed her? Are you kidding
But
me?
also, who is that man? Sorry. Who is that man in that scene? That old man holding the horse? Is that supposed to be Caleb? Because that is an old man.
Did they get like a egregiously old
That's
stuntman to
so
like step in for a
funny.
moment?
I
It's a
didn't notice
stand-in,
that.
and he has gray
Yeah, right
hair.
over my head.
Well, you go back and watch that scene where he's holding the horse.
Okay.
It's
I have
not
to go back.
Caleb.
I'm gonna have to go back.
that's so funny. But okay, temporary vampire though, I would love to do that if I get to turn into a bat. That's important to me. That sounds fun. I love bats. And two,
Yeah.
I think that even though it's problematic, the like you like entrancing
thrall?
thing, yeah,
the
where you can
compulsion?
like the compulsion thing. I think that's like the only way you could actually successfully survive as a vampire in the modern age, because there's so many like IDs and shit that you have to have. If you didn't have that, like it wouldn't work. So temporary vampire with only those two conditions.
People do crime all the time, though. Like, if you have the right resources, you could get good fake government documents,
But
probably.
the trans thing sounds
Take a while to
fun.
build up those resources, though. My God.
But you've got time. You'll have
Good thing
time.
you're a vampire, yeah.
Fair, fair.
I literally can't believe that these vampires were like so old and yet so bad with money, you know? Like they were just like gambling and just like staying in the shittiest motels. Like, come on, do better.
They're not here for forward thinking, I don't think. Although all it would take would be to buy one sturdy piece of modern furniture, wait 20 years, all of a sudden it's vintage. You know what I mean? You can resell that.
Oh my god! Wow.
If they had a thriving antique and reselling
Wow.
business, I think that would be very exciting. Add a
They'd
lot
have
to
to
the
have a
plot.
lot of
Pop
storage
girlies.
units, and that's expensive.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, sorry. I want to go back to the blood transfusion scene for a second. Do we think that he had any inkling that would happen, or do we think that he was just trying to like feed without having to like suck somebody? Like, did he think that was just a way that he could get blood into his body without killing?
I feel like he
No, I
said
wasn't
it
his
with
idea.
full
to accomplish.
I feel like he just thought that it was going to work. Like it just seemed like he was out of options, and he was like, "Do whatever it takes to make me human again.
Try anything.
Literally try
Yeah.
anything." That's what it felt like to me.
Was it Caleb's
Interesting.
idea? I thought it was the dad's idea.
It was Caleb.
Somebody said to the dad, "Have you ever done a transfusion before?" Oh yeah, Caleb when he was in the
Oh.
back of the truck when he was like looking at all the rubber tubing, etc.
Interesting.
Because his dad is a vet, or
Yeah.
that's just part of.
I miss
normal
some
farm
nuance
owner
in this film, I
job,
guess.
maybe
The dad is a vet.
he like gives a cow an injection at the beginning.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's all you really
Yeah,
needed to
I was
know.
about
I
to
did
say
see that part.
veterinarian, not army vet, but could also be army vet.
Yeah. Well, you
Probably
know,
an
there
Hey,
that
bodies,
is-
bodies,
Oh.
bodies made it very clear you need to make a distinction there.
Very
Oh my
important.
god!
So
Yes.
important. A lot of room for miscommunication.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Yeah, I mean, and also like, is it the dad's blood? Like, does he just take all his
Right,
blood
yeah.
out of him?
Yeah,
Like,
I think so.
he's gonna die from that. Like,
What if he
don't
just
ask
put, like,
We can
questions.
donate blood every 2 weeks.
What if he put cow blood in him? He was like, well, here we go.
I
he
ran
turns
out.
into a cow vampire?
We'd love that.
What would that look like, do we think?
A cow
Would
vampire.
he have cow powers, or would he just have to eat cows?
Have you seen that movie called like The Littlest
Vampire?
Vampire or something? And the cows turn
Oh,
into
yeah.
vampires.
Oh, they do have
Yeah.
cow moments in that.
Just saying. And I like that movie. We should do that.
Don't they have little bat wings too?
I think so. And they're like
They fly
stupidly
for
small
sure.
or something. Yeah. And it just
Like
becomes plot
Bunnicula.
relevant in the film. Yes. Who said Bunnicula?
Me.
I'm always
me.
thinking about Bunnicula.
Always in the back of my mind, Bunnicula.
Yeah, I also like, I can't believe that scene where we learned all about how semi trucks works becomes plot relevant. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, wow, we're real. Like, I love this guy's energy. Like, and we're learning all about how semi trucks work. And okay, and then
Yeah.
it comes back. Wow.
Yeah, it becomes very important. I was like, ooh, that was a nice little tie around.
Yeah.
But I'm more surprised that Caleb could pay attention at all to what that guy was saying, considering he was like having blood withdrawals or whatever was
Mhm.
happening to his body.
Like fighting for, he have to literally throw himself out of a moving truck to avoid eating this man, but he was still like, yes, you must engage both brakes, otherwise it will jackknife.
That was way too
I really
friendly.
thought the
Oh my
jackknifing
god.
thing.
It was the
Well,
80s.
really willing to share.
Yeah.
That's so true. Hitchhiking culture was different back then.
Yeah, everybody was picking up. If I was those girls, I would not have picked up Severin. He was
Yeah.
being
He's so hot
weird.
though. What do you mean?
Listen,
I'm kidding. I'm
people
kidding. I'm kidding.
were
I'm kidding.
so dumb picking up hitchhikers.
Oh,
So
back in the
kidding.
day.
Wait, there's a hot man on the side of the road. Get in, honey. Let's go. Okay, Jesus Christ. Because we didn't have.
One fun fact on IMDb trivia was that the cast was doing a lot of fucking around while they were filming.
Good for them.
And I think Bill Paxton and whoever plays Jesse did
James Henriksen.
drive around while filming when they weren't doing their scenes in costume and picked up hitchhikers at one point. Like, one point he said he was like preparing and he like fucked up he made himself scary. And he picked up a hitchhiker who he said was twice his size, who as soon as they got to the next inhabited area was like, please let me out of the car. So I think that maybe was just like kind of normal to pick up hitchhikers.
Yeah, people.
It was-
I'm in my like making friends with strangers era also, so like but picking somebody up on the side of the road and letting them take you somewhere to have a drink is very bold.
Yeah, it was much more
I-
normal back then as a way to travel, I think.
No,
Sure.
it really was. And I
Yeah.
feel like I would have been all over it. I'm a like fall asleep in Ubers by myself type of girly. So too trusting
Happens.
altogether. And so, you know, it's for the best that I'm not in the hitchhiking era. I'd be dead.
But yeah, I mean, I loved that it came back around learning how to drive the truck. I want to believe in a universe where that scene was shorter originally. And then the semi truck comes back around at the end, and then they got a lot of notes from audiences being like, well, how would he know how to drive that? And so they had to reshoot it. I also loved that the horse being scared by the vampires came back around, although then his horse just galloped off into the night and was disappeared forever. And I was like, that is your horse. Like, what do you mean it's just gone?
He's
but I
like,
did
fuck
like-
you.
I
There's
liked that
10
they-
vampires here. I'm not sticking around. That horse is smart.
I mean, maybe the horse knows its way home and it went right back home. And I don't know if we saw it later because I was not paying attention. But I did think there was like some good setup and payoff at different points in this movie. I thought that they did a good job like looping things around for the most part.
Totally. Yeah. And I love that Severin blows up.
Yeah.
He really explodes. Like a big, huge explosion. And then you get the little other spur. Oh, it's so good. Now he has the complete set.
I did. I thought it was pretty bold to kill Severin off before like final confrontation. I was like, okay, that was surprising. I didn't think that Jesse was gonna be like the main one doing it all in the end.
The big boss.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. He's like their leader. He's like the father of the troop. And Severin is definitely the most hands-on with Caleb other than May. I liked that he put up so much of a fight where he's like, you can literally run me over with a semi-truck, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna die, and that doesn't mean I'm not gonna sit here on the top with my burned face plucking wires out of, like,
You can't
punching
just
a hole
pluck
through
anything out of there.
metal.
It's gonna blow up.
He's
If
strong.
you pull anything out of
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
Not smart.
he didn't think it through, but I do feel if he had thought it through, he would be willing to explode himself if he thought he was taking Caleb down with him.
Fair.
Yeah, he's
fair.
pretty petty. Yeah.
He's very petty.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for
I love
sure.
that about him.
That guy in the bar says to him, like, don't fuck with me. And then he, like, immediately fucks with him. So, I mean, big don't tell me what to do behavior. So
I also love that they're like, yeah, he looks so fucking cool with his face all ripped to shreds. This will be the picture that you see every time you Google this movie. Though the movie is not about Bill Paxton at all. But it's just his rippy face on every poster. And I'm like, it was the right
He's got
choice.
star
That was
power.
the sickest part. It was very great. I do love Homer's death though too. Because he just like he literally is gonna die for this child. Like they just met again. What is it with vampires and like going all in after like literally no conversation? She was just
Love
like,
at
I
first
do what
sight.
I want, and he was like, I'm in love with you. You're 6 years old. But he literally just yeets himself out of the car and like just is like, take me, God. I don't even know.
yeah, I do wonder if at that point it was less an investment in Sarah for herself as another child who could be trapped in that predicament, and more like also pettiness towards Caleb, because he does say that line where he's like, you took May from me, now I'm gonna take Sarah from you. And then it's like, and Sarah got away, and then like May was having her tortured feelings about Caleb being gone. Also, she wanted to go after him, give him one more chance. Like, he is at this point, I think, just really has dug his heels in and doubled down no matter what.
Yeah.
But the way he's willing to fully just burn to death in the road is
Wild.
grim. Although I will say, I felt that there was like some inconsistencies with when you light on fire and when you don't.
Yeah,
And
I
sometimes
agree.
they burst into
Yeah.
through their clothes, and sometimes you have a blanket and you're chill.
Well, I feel like maybe when Caleb at the very beginning is having his smoky walk through that beautiful sunrise, he's like so early in his vampire time, you know, the venom has not spread throughout his whole system, blah blah blah. And so maybe that's why. But and maybe because he's a freshie
but
and he
even at
has
the
so much of his
end-
own blood in him still, that's why he like lasts longer than the rest of them every time he's in the sun, because he's in the sun several times and he does not blow up immediately.
That's true. May is also a younger vampire, grand scheme, so maybe that's why it kind of extends to her as
Young
well.
enough
Maybe
to-
you get less
Yeah, be cute
fireproof
again.
or whatever.
True. True. It did make.
But yeah, I mean,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
please. No, you.
Stop. So nice. I was gonna say that it made the shootout scene really cool because of how they were playing with all the
Yeah.
lights. I really liked that. I
Mhm.
thought that was super smart, very
Yes.
creative.
The bullet holes, that was genius.
Yeah, and I felt like that worked for me in that scene because while that sunlight is not actually like more concentrated than normal sunlight, the way that it was like a beam going into the room, it gave the effect of it. But I mean, like at the end, Homer's on the ground and he's a little bit covered, but he's also mostly lighting on fire. And then May is, I don't know, 10 feet away and she's wearing jeans and then it has a jean jacket on her top half and she's chill.
Yeah, she's fine.
But she's nice, and so that's why she lives.
She's
nice,
powered
yeah.
by love.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is romance month
One-
after all.
So true. One fun fact about the beginning when he's like running home and smoking and like stumbling all over. Apparently, per IMDb trivia, they filmed that by having a complicated tube system under his jacket connected to 5 lit cigars. And I don't
I
know if
almost
that's
just
true, but
spit my
that
water
seems like
out.
a smart way to do a practical effect and also very funny to me.
Yeah.
So
And it looked
I'm on board.
amazing. It looks so
It
good.
looked really
Yeah.
good. He must have been so
Really rad.
stinky after that, though. Cigar smoke is so potent.
But the tubes take it away from him, actually, so it's fine.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, okay, I guess we should talk about the end real quick before we move to our segments. I guess it's a nice romantic thing where she comes home, I guess, and is turned human. Does he ask her? I don't know.
No, it doesn't seem like it. It feels like she was passed out and he was like, I'm going to put blood in her. And then because she wakes up and she's very much confused.
She's terrified because he
But
just opens the door and he's
yeah,
like, here's the sun. And she's like, fuck. And she doesn't blow up.
I do see potential for them to have a romantic storyline, I guess, in the future after this film, not within the context of this film, because like they have that conversation earlier where he's like, do you miss the day? Like, do you miss the sun? And she's like, honestly, I don't even really remember it. And then with those final lines being like, I'm afraid, don't be, it's just the sun, freeze frame, zoom. Like, I think it
Iconic.
is this beautiful like return to humanity that he's able to offer her. Like, she clearly was not so dialed into the vampire life because she's trying to find a buddy, and she's like maybe willing to be with him to whatever degree and is willing to put herself on the line with the rest of her squad on his behalf. But I can see that as like a grand gesture and a starting point for them in the future, but to me it didn't like close a romantic storyline.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, and also too, I was like also irritated with Caleb because when May comes back to visit him before his sister gets kidnapped for like the 6th time, I don't know. It just kind of irritated me how May was trying to brush off the fact that the vampires just tried to kill Caleb's entire family, and she was like mad at him for leaving her. And I was like, May, what are you saying? What are you doing here? And then she runs off into the night because she's upset because he doesn't want to come back with her. The toxicity of this couple is very. It's like overpowering the cute moments, so I didn't feel that same balance. So although I'm happy that they can start a new life together, I kind of don't know if I want them to. Also, May needs some serious therapy because she's killed so many people over the course of like her. I don't know how long she's been a vampire, but she's gonna need
4
some
years,
help.
I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
But it seems like they have to do it pretty regularly. So
yeah, every night she said they killed someone.
that's so. There's no way you're drinking all that blood in one night. I don't buy it.
they're thirsty.
They're just little.
I drink
they're
a
little
lot of
villains.
water
They're not
in a day.
drinking to completion. They're taking little sips and then they're moving on. They're not conserving. They're not reducing, reusing, recycling.
Maybe that's how she, make sure she's not killing
starts a
too
new
much.
sustainable
She really
practice.
drains them dry, and so she's not wasting anything. And then there you go. That's part of her rationale for how she can still have morals after killing 1,000 men. Okay, well,
That was good, quick math.
oh, is that accurate? Oh, I just said 1,000.
I mean, roughly
Yes, I
speaking.
did the math. I'm just gonna roll with that.
365 days in a year,
Yes.
4 years. I mean, it's more than that, but you're in the right zone.
Yeah, I did the math, of course. Anyway, now it's time for our segments. And so this will, if you haven't ever made it to the end of our episode, Homies of Horror, and I get it, it's long, but it's worth it. Our first segment, we've sort of talked about it already, but we got to go all the way in. How could this movie be gayer?
Well, I said I was going really hard on Severin gay earlier, but actually I did recall when you guys mentioned the ladies in the car that I had some Severin bisexual notes as well.
I think that
because he also has that bit. Yeah, he has that bit where he tells the guy in the bar, I fucked your mom and your dad was watching. And I do feel like the dad watching was like a necessary part of that sexual equation for him. So he's bisexual. And also I really just feel like him and Caleb, there's vibes there. There's vibes there.
Poor Caleb. He's got a lot going on, okay? He's finding out he's a vampire and that he's bisexual, it's a lot.
I think if
Caleb does
Caleb
that a
was a
lot.
He kinda
woman, would have brought more depth, like would have been less creepy,
Oh.
would have, been
That's
less
true.
wet blanket.
I agree. I would
I mean,
love
I'm always
a
here for
lesbian
lesbians
remake.
too. Yeah.
That's what we need. We need
For the remake.
the lesbian
Oh my
cowboy
God.
remake. Vampire cowboy remake.
Lesbian
Mhm.
Oh my
cowboy
God.
vampire. Yes. I love it.
I think,
Yeah,
I
and
think
those
you
are
could
all the
put that
words.
on a billboard and a lot of people would go see that
A
movie.
lot of people would go
I
watch
would
a
go see
Lesbian
it.
cowboy
I would go see it 5
vampires.
times.
Yes. You need the yes
yeah,
at the end.
Erica touched on this. Yes! Exclamation point. Erica touched on this earlier, but I do think it is very common in vampire lore and vampire media to be like, well, they've been alive for a long time. So, like, even if they at the beginning would never have explored their sexuality or their gender identity over time, you get bored. You've got a lot of time to think. Like, trends come and
not?
go, social norms change. You're telling me that none of them would ever
Yeah.
explore that for themselves. I think,
Giving your
Diamondback.
doing a disservice.
that's a she, they, non-binary person, I think.
Diamondback. I would have loved it if Diamondback
Mhm.
had turned May. Like if that had come out.
Oh.
I would have loved that.
Yeah. Just
Oh.
leave
Yeah.
Homer out of the equation.
Yeah.
He creeps me the fuck out. Sorry, baby. Sorry, baby boy. Bye. Ooh.
I feel like Jesse and Diamondback also they don't have a totally closed relationship. You know what I mean? It's not open. That waitress was not part of it. They both need to have selected somebody, but I think there's room for experimentation for them as well, with anybody of any gender.
Mm-hmm.
They really are that couple at the end of the bar. Like, we've been looking at you.
Yeah.
We have a
We really
proposition.
like your vibe.
If their
I
eye
like their
fell upon
vibe. I
me,
mean-
I would be so honored, but then I would die shortly after. But it'd be a great last few moments, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
And also,
Wow.
too, like I said, I wanted to see more of them biting the same neck at the same time. Like,
Like two lovers sharing a milkshake at a
Yeah.
diner.
Yeah, I wanted
Exactly
to see
like
some of
that.
that.
That's a huge missed opportunity. He should have killed people. God damn. Or at least bit people who are already dead. God damn it, Caleb. Ruined it for
Or
everyone.
Jesse and Diamondback could have had that moment. You know what I mean? Give it to the true romance of the film.
But I loved the
milkshake
stein
moment.
of beer. Like that shot where
Yeah.
you see him holding it under her neck and then
They
he
could have just put
slams
2
it
straws
down
in
and there's
it.
blood splatter everywhere. Ah, that was like my favorite part of the movie. Too cool.
The idea of a lesbian May, though, I do love. I do think that's the winner of this segment so far for me.
Yeah. She kind of looks like the one of the Blue is the Warmest Color girls. A little bit. It's got some of those vibes.
Oh,
The
she's
one with the, like,
giving
short hair.
Yeah.
May is giving human Casper, which is also giving young lesbian. I'm just saying.
Sure. A little more roughed up hair because human Casper's hair is a little Homer adjacent, but
Stop. Don't say that about human Casper. It's disrespectful. Okay, so now we have to move on to our second segment. We are big stands of the horror icon Matthew Lillard on this podcast, as you are surely familiar. So where would Matthew Lillard fit into this film? We like to recast with him, and you can go throughout space and time. He doesn't have to be canonic age of Matthew Lillard in 1987. He could be Scream age Matthew Lillard. You can do whatever you want. No rules.
But in 1987, he could be young enough to be Homer.
well, he'd be like 17 in 1987, so he would be not a bad Caleb choice. We don't really know Caleb's age.
True.
God,
That's
yeah.
true.
I would love to see the Stu Severin switch just
Same.
to see what the movie
Mhm.
would be like.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
same.
He could do it. No one plays insane, unhinged like Maddie. Oh,
I think though, I really love Bill Paxton in that role. I would be curious to see him as Caleb, although I don't have like a strong vision for what that would be. But also if I could just pop him into the movie as is, I think he'd be a really fun patron in the bar scene, you know, just give him like a little standout moment.
Or
he could be the guy who dives through the window, you know.
in the
Or he could be
remake,
the guy who
could be
wears the
Jesse.
vest.
Oh,
like he's old enough
that's true.
now. He could be Jesse
That's
in
true.
the remake.
Or I could see him being like Caleb's dad too, maybe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Farmer
You could be a
Matthew
veterinarian.
Lillard. That's a powerful idea.
Wow.
I love it.
I feel like Matthew
Single
Lillard
father Matthew Lillard
would play like Caleb bits where he's like and like freaking out. I feel like Matthew Lillard would kill those parts.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Struggling.
And I
he'd do
think
good.
he would also bring probably
grimy.
more tongue than Caleb was bringing, but like in a
Caleb-
more
yeah.
tasteful way, like you would like it. Instead of being like, why? You'd be like, of course, you know?
We absolutely
course.
want more tasteful tongue. You know, that's
Mhm,
give that
mhm,
to me
mhm.
in
A
any
natural
movie.
It's very
thing for
important to
him.
me. Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, I love the idea that had one of Caleb's friends not said anything and they had been the ones to approach May, that this would be a totally I love that it was just a luck of the draw, just so happened to be
Mhm.
Caleb. So maybe if they expanded his friends and Matthew Lillard was one of his friends.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I
they
like
didn't
that.
circle back to those people at all. That could have been
Left them
an interesting-
behind.
for the remake, you know. Especially if Caleb's gonna be a lesbian in the remake, we give him like a whole little queer friend group, you know what I mean? And then they're part of the like hunting down detective work investigation side plot. Because I think we should flesh that out so we see Sarah's growth and change.
I love that. We got to have that Rocky montage. Okay, our next segment is who is the dumb bitch of this movie? Is it
That's
Caleb?
hard.
Is it Homer?
I mean, Caleb is a
It's
good
Homer.
option because if Caleb had just driven May home as fast as she asked, he maybe never would have been in that predicament. Like if she had, well,
If he
then he
hadn't
would have been with a whole
forced
bunch of
her
vampires
to
actually. So
kiss.
probably I don't think it would have gone well either. But yeah, I think he's for sure. There's some good options for him along the way, where he was really being a dumb bitch. Homer obviously also a little bit of a dumb bitch for multiple reasons that speak for themselves. May, not a lot of planning on her part. Some dumb bitch behavior from her too. She's not thinking some things through.
Quick question. Because Diamondback has a little like mommy energy towards Homer. Do you think that Diamondback changed him to have a little baby?
I can see that.
I don't too. There's no
That's very
factual
interesting to me.
basis for that at all. But I'm like, how did Homer get into the picture? We don't find that out. And it seems like it goes Jesse, Diamondback. I don't know when Severin comes in. He can do whatever he wants. But someone need to change that baby.
Actually, I do feel it could have been Severin for a gag. He's just like loves a little joke. You know what I mean? I think he'd think it was funny.
But I also think that like when I agree with you, but I think that when Homer dies, like Jesse and Diamondback like look at each other and they're like, well, we're giving up the gun, and like they just blow up. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that, I don't know. They had a
That's
little
baby a little bit for them.
yeah, they had a little 45-year-old baby who is a dumb bitch. He had
He
really funny
is.
one-liners though. Okay, he did. He had great one-liners.
But I feel like he might win for a dumb bitch for me only because it was his incessant need to have Sarah that got every single person killed.
Yep.
And he didn't need to do all that. It didn't
No.
even need to be that way. And I feel like, yeah, everybody was being petty, but he was being a little bit over the top about it.
Mhm.
And also, too, earlier in the movie, he was crying about the sunlight. He was so scared. Next thing we know, who's that running into the sun? It's Homer. And that is also dumb bitch behavior. Because,
Mhm.
Sir, yeah, circle back.
yeah. So
Were you
that's my
not
vote.
just
Yeah.
scared? Yeah.
Yeah. Were you
Yeah.
not just crying about
Yeah.
this?
I gotta join Team Homer. Homer was not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Caleb also is a little bit responsible for the series of events that got them there with the bar scene because, like, the guy escaping is what led them to the whole police chase shootout. They go to the next motel, and that's where they have the run-in. But I'm not ready in that moment to call him a dumb bitch for not killing that guy.
Yeah.
Like, I think his whole ethos is a little dumb bitchy, because if he's like, my girlfriend does the killing, but we all benefit, I am still tacitly killing, I just don't want to get my hands dirty, that's dumb bitch. But to just like balk in the moment where someone is asking you to do a cold-blooded murder,
Yeah.
I think
That's
is
understandable.
nice, maybe.
Yeah. Plus, I guess when I think about it, Caleb only had a week to adjust to being a killer, which is wild.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They basically said, you have 3 days to figure this shit out and just kill everybody, or we're gonna kill you. I could give him a pass on struggling with that a little bit.
Yeah.
And he like is clearly fighting his instincts with everything he's got at some moments. Like, I really thought he was gonna kill the teller at the bus station. I really thought he was gonna kill the police officer that confronted him and like eventually gave him the $3. Like, I thought for sure he was going to lose control along the way, and he basically never did.
So we got to give him at least a couple of points for, chutzpah and wherewithal to not kill every man he came across, even though a lot of them are really annoying and not nice to him.
Love his
Wouldn't
chutzpah.
just let him on the bus? Come on. And that cop was a dick, of course. Okay, all right. But
Yeah, I think
Homer. It's Homer.
Yeah.
It's Homer.
Yeah.
Really quickly,
It's a
just
bad
like, I'm
attitude
so
also.
sorry. This is not a segment, but I just was thinking about it. Do you think they actually died when they blew up? Because they were saying before, like, oh, we can't actually kill you, but you're gonna hurt for a really long time, when they were threatening to kill Caleb. But they really blow up. They were blown to smithereens.
Yeah. IMDb trivia led me to believe that being exploded or lit on fire essentially is fatal to them.
Okay.
My impression of what they were threatening him with, what my little brain cooked up for what they might mean, was that, like, bury a hole in the desert up to his neck or something kind of deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, torture on purpose. Kind of like the whole, if you watch that Charlize Theron movie where they don't die, and the one is like in the coffin at the bottom of the ocean.
I have not seen that. Spoilers for the movie we don't know
It's
the name
good.
of.
Well, that's just a side plot.
It's okay. Okay, so now our final segment. We rate on a 5 knives scale. So it's time for our knives out of 5s. And before we give our scores, Chelsea's going to set the scene with what people thought about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it did fly a little under the radar, like I said, but it is mostly pretty well received. It's got a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb. It's 83% fresh from critics on Rotten Tomatoes and 74% fresh from audiences. And it got some wins and nominations on like the film festival circuits. Nothing like huge necessarily, but it had some acknowledgments. So I think it was like received by few, but well received by those few for the most part. And then it's built its audience over time.
Nice. Well, who wants to go first?
I'm willing to.
Oh yeah, go.
Sure. I had never seen this movie before. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was Monica, you had kind of mentioned before when we were discussing our slate that it was kind of a good pairing with Bones and All.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally agree. I think especially with like the really beautiful shots and the way they would kind of have these like slow atmospheric moments at times, like that paired really well. I thought it was gorgeous. I again not here for the romance, so lose some points for that. But I am interested in the story. I'm interested in the characters, and I think it pretty much accomplished what it was trying to accomplish. So I'm willing to give it like a solid 4 knives out of 5s, I think, is where I'm landing.
Awesome.
I'm in it with 4 knives out of 5s. It was, I don't know if my brain just like fully hasn't recovered from events, but I did have like a hard time like really. I watched this movie twice and I feel I was like, I have no fully real idea what's absolutely going on. Like, I think the movie is basically just like, here is a week in the life of this traveling vampire clan. And I wish it had just like a smidge more real plot.
For a tight 90, they could have added.
That's what I'm just saying. Like
30
there
minutes
could have
and gotten away with it.
There could have been just like something else. But I did enjoy it, and it was like really fun. Although, how dare that man do something on Natalie Main's boat? How dare?
How dare he?
How dare he?
It's for your
This
crimes.
is forever
for your
changed that
crime.
movie. This movie for me, like I wish I didn't know, but it's good to know. It's good to know things.
Feel better.
Ignorance
Obviously,
is not bliss.
this predated. This came way before anything that he did in his relationship. Well, I don't know when they met, but
yeah, but also
right. So
it's
this Adrian Passer we see
1987.
before us. It's a different one than the man he would grow to be.
Fair. Well, do you all want to go before I go, or should we do podcast versus podcast scoring?
I mean, I could go. I'm cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So first time watcher here. I like the movie a lot. I think it was a really good movie, and I agree it's really beautiful. Like I spent a lot of this movie just being like, yo, that's a really good shot, or like, yo, those effects are so good. Like I'm such a sucker for practical effects, and despite them like apparently not having money, I thought that the effects were really cool. My biggest issue with this movie is totally a romance movie, and I just did not ship our main couple. So it just made it really hard to like get fully invested. There were so many things that I did like, and there were so many things that were fun, but like the main meat of the story, I was like, I can't get behind this. So for that reason, I will say 3 knives out of 5. Good movie, great stuff in there. But I needed a different pairing for the main couple. That's a personal thing for me.
You needed it to be lesbians.
I needed it to be lesbians. Yeah. Like let's get on that. I want to see that remake.
Let's go, lesbians.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Okay, I'll go next. I'm 3 knives out of 5 as well. Because I agree, it's a beautiful movie, and the premise of it I think is very clever. I love this idea. I love the pairing of multiple genres into one, and it's just so tricky. 80s movies inherently kind of can have this really wild pacing, and these times where you're like, I feel like there could have been a scene there that they cut out, but maybe there never was a scene there. A lot of those movies have that feeling, but it is not always successfully done. And in this one, I think it was just too much of that feeling. There were a lot of times where we would hop into moments and I was thinking, I feel like we needed an introduction to this scene or a little bit more background about this relationship, and that just wasn't there. And so it just felt disjointed for me at times. Like there are moments where I too was confused and I was wondering where we were going to go. But I think as a whole, there was enough stuff that I liked about it that it pushed my rating up, and I was able to forgive some of those moments more. But yeah, if there was more of a steady baseline plot here, besides just cowboy vampires, I think it would have been higher for me.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. There was one moment where he drank from her wrist for the first time. They cut to the dad and the sister, and then when they came back, Adrian Passer was trying to call home, and I was like, wait, what just happened? What was he doing last time I saw him? I do, now that you mention it, there were definitely moments like that.
Totally. Well, okay, I think it's cute that like each podcast is in unison with their score, because I'm also gonna give this a 4 knives out of 5. But you know, I made us do this movie. Well, okay, I mean y'all chose it too, but I was like, we need to do Near Dark before we decided that
she was really pushing.
Yeah, I was really pushing.
Very excited that you guys were also on board.
Yeah, I was like, yes. So I don't know. I love cowboy shit. I love it. I have 10. Every time I talk about my cowboy hats, I will add more. I have a lot of them. I have
cowboy.
I have like 6 bolo ties. It's like a thing. So I love that aesthetic, and I think it like honestly really melds together well, like the way they did the vampires and like that cowboy lifestyle, the like nomadic lifestyle. I mean, it's interesting though, because the vampires themselves are not cowboys. They're kind of like punk alternative people doing whatever in an RV until they blow it up. But I just think they did a really Catherine Bigelow and her co-writer Eric Red, they did such a great job like creating like this lore of the American vampire using like very like Americana tropes, like Lost Boys. Yeah, they're American vampires, but it doesn't feel like, doesn't have that aspect to it.
Vampires or whatever.
Yeah, no,
They're
that's
very
like
California.
Cali, and we love that. We're Cali girls, but like I really liked it. I think Catherine Bigelow nailed the aesthetic, like we were saying, and like yes, it's totally. I see what you're saying, the disjointed aspects of it, but it also in a different way than Bones and All. But Bones and All, I feel like I was saying on our episode, it was like the moments between things happening. It shows you that a lot. I feel like this also has that like atmospheric aspect to it. Like Sydney was saying, it's like you popped into the week of their lives, and then it just happened to be a really intense week, honestly. And then you pop right back out. So I don't know. I think there's so much here, and I always love when Westerns and horror movies like come together, and like Cowboys and Aliens wasn't that good, so like I really like this a lot more than that, so I was happy. But yeah, the lesbian remake is gonna slap so hard. Like, can we start crowdfunding, because that would be like 17 knives out of fives like already. But yeah, that brings us to the end of Near Dark. I forgot the name of the movie for a second. That's what that pause was. I honestly forgot.
Oh, I mean, no wonder it didn't get 5 knives out of 5.
I know.
Make an impression.
I just got kind of like lost in the thoughts thinking about the lesbian version that doesn't exist. But yeah, and that's the end of Romance Month, which like, wow, wasn't it romantic? Who knew Casper qualified?
Everybody should have.
Everybody should have. But yeah, we're moving on to something else. Who wants to introduce it? I forgot what it is.
Oh, I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unless Sydney wants
Go,
to do
Chelsea,
it, and then
go,
Sydney should do
Chelsea.
it. Next up, we are truly leaving the romance behind because we are doing The Menu, which
How
came
could I
out
forget?
in 2022. Yeah.
I love this movie.
We wanted to do a recent pick. This one has, I think, hit streaming services somewhat recently, so people have been talking about it a lot lately. And we are excited to enter that conversation because there's so much to say.
There's a lot.
There's
to
just
say.
so much to
There's
say.
a lot to say. Homies of Horror, have you seen it?
I've seen it. I love that movie. I love The
Oh,
Menu.
I loved
I
it so
haven't.
much.
I haven't
Oh.
either. I'm excited.
So
Oh
good.
yeah, y'all
It's
should
so
watch
good.
it. Well, okay, can we thank y'all so much for coming on? This was so much fun. Wow.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was a blast. I love this.
Our pleasure.
I mean,
And like,
wow, we
thanks
really
for making us watch the movie, because I don't know if I would have watched this movie otherwise. To be
I'm
honest,
so glad you watched it. Yeah, it's a not well known. I had never ever heard of it before, but Adam knows his westerns. That's my boyfriend. So there you go. But yeah, thank y'all so much, and we should do this again sometime soon. So can you let our listeners know where they can find you and listen to you guys?
Yeah, Roshane, why don't you take it away? Let's switch it up.
Wow. All right. Let's go ahead and do that.
Put him
Sure.
on blast.
Yeah,
I know,
put
for
you
real.
on the spot.
Your socials off the top of your head. I need
OMG.
to know.
Well, if you guys want to find us, we are Homies of Horror at everything. That's Instagram and Twitter. But if you want to contact us directly, you can always email us at homiesofhorror@gmail.com. And if you listen to our podcast, feel free to rate and, tell us if you like the show or not. We love hearing from you guys. How was that, Erika?
And we stream. We stream on
And
Monday.
we also stream. We stream on Twitch on Mondays.
On Twitch on Monday. Other
Also
than
at
that,
I love
Homies
that.
of Horror.
yeah.
I haven't tuned
And your
into the
podcasts
stream. Is the stream like, do you all just do like a podcast live, or what do you do on the stream?
Kind of
Yeah.
the first hour, we usually talk a little bit more about whatever movie we covered, and then we'll do like horror news, we'll watch trailers, and then the second half is us playing a spooky game. And
Oh my
usually lots
God.
of screaming, lots of drinking.
Oh my God, I
Yeah.
love that.
That sounds so much fun. Okay, see you on Monday. Damn.
Wait, what time on
True.
Monday? I do competitive puzzling.
Cool.
What?
That's so interesting.
their next stream. Yeah.
Typically it's like 5 p.m. PST is around the time that we will start.
Okay.
Cool.
Amazing. That sounds great. Okay, well, now we're gonna do our plugs. So we love to have compliments. Why not give us a 5-star review and in it also compliment Homies of Horror? Because weren't you just blown away? I was. And we're also accepting 5-star reviews on Spotify as well. And I know Homies of Horrors are also on Spotify because that's where I was listening earlier today. So why not do a double whammy? It'll make your day. It'll make our day. And follow us on social media. We're at spooky_Tuesday on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. At Spooky Tuesday Pod on Facebook and Tumblr. And we have a YouTube channel that's at spooky_Tuesday. Damn, I keep forgetting that one. And we're at Spooky Tuesday on Letterboxd. Wouldn't it be great if we were just one thing everywhere? No, we keep you on your toes here. We make you
That's
think
not for
really
us.
hard.
That's not our journey.
We didn't have that sort of forethought when we were setting up our account. But anyway, thank y'all for listening. Love you.
Bye, spookies.
What you people want? Just a couple more minutes of your time, about the same duration as the rest of your life.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Haidt, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamara, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.